continue this spirited debate about the future of the country, how to tackle our most pressing problems, and getting to the heart of the biggest issues in this Democratic primary.
Tonight, we're going to talk about health care, immigration. We're also going to dive into the economy, jobs, climate change as well.
And some quick rules of the road before we begin. And they may sound familiar. 20 candidates qualified for this first debate. As we said, we heard from 10 last night, and we'll hear from 10 more tonight. The breakdown for each night was selected at random. The candidates will have 60 seconds to answer, 30 seconds for any follow-ups.
And because of the large field of candidates, not every person is going to be able to weigh in on every topic. But over the course of the next 2 hours, we will hear from everyone.
And we love our audience, but we'd like to ask them to keep their reactions to a minimum, and we're not going to hold back in making sure the candidates stick to time. So with that business taken care of, let's get to it. And we're going to start today with Senator Sanders. Good evening to you. You've called for big new government benefits like universal health care and free college. In a recent interview, you said you suspected that Americans would be, quote, delighted to pay more taxes for things like that. My question, administration, and if so, how do you sell that to voters?
Well, you're quite right. We have a new vision for America. And at a time when we have 3 people in this country owning more wealth than the bottom half of America, while 500,000 people are sleeping out on the streets today, we think it is time for change, real change. And by that I mean that health care, in my view, is a human right. And we have got to pass a Medicare for all single-payer system. Under that system, by the way, vast majority of the people in this country will be paying significantly less for health care than they are right now. I believe that education is the future for this country. And that is why I believe that we must make public colleges and universities tuition free and eliminate student debt. And we do that by placing a tax on Wall Street. Every proposal that I have brought forth is fully paid for.
Senator Sanders, I'll give you 10 seconds just to answer the very direct question. Will you raise taxes for the middle class in the Sanders administration?
People who have health care under Medicare for all will have no premiums, no deductibles, no co-payments, no out-of-pocket expenses. Yes, they will pay more in taxes, but less in health care for what they get.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Bennett, we're going to get to everybody, I promise, but let me just, Senator Biden, promise everybody's going to get in here, promise. Vice President Biden, Senator Sanders, as you know, has been calling for a revolution. Recently, in remarks to a group of wealthy donors, as you were speaking about the problem of income inequality in this country, you said we shouldn't, quote, demonize the rich. You said nobody has to be punished. No one's standard of living would change. Nothing would fundamentally change. What did you mean by that?
What I meant by that is, look, Donald Trump thinks Wall Street built America. Ordinary middle-class Americans build America. My dad used to have an expression. He said, Joe, a job is about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's being able to look your kid in the eye and say everything's going to be okay. Too many people who are in the middle class and poor have had the bottom fall out under this proposal. What I'm saying is that we've got to be straightforward. We have to make sure we understand that to return dignity to the middle class, they have to have insurance that is covered and they can afford it. They have to make sure that we're in a situation where there's continuing education and they're able to pay for it. And they have to make sure that they're able to breathe air that is clean and they have water that they can drink. Look, Donald Trump has put us in a horrible situation. We do have enormous income inequality. And the one thing I agree on is we can make massive cuts in the $1.6 trillion in tax loopholes out there. And I would be going about eliminating Donald Trump's tax cuts for the wealthy.
Vice President Biden, thank you. Senator Harris. There's a lot of talk in this primary about new government benefits, such as student loan cancellation, free college, health care, and more. Do you think that Democrats have a responsibility to explain how they will pay for every proposal they make along those lines?
Well, let me tell you something. I hear that question, but where was that question when the Republicans and Donald Trump passed a tax bill that benefits the top 1% and the biggest corporations in this country, contributing at least $1 trillion to the debt of America, which middle-class families will pay for one way or another? Working families need support and need to be lifted up, and frankly, this economy is not working for working people. For too long, the rules have been written in the favor of the people who have the most and not in favor of the people who work the most, which is why I am proposing that we change the tax code so for every family that is making less than $100,000 a year, they will receive a tax credit that they can collect up to $500 a month, which will make all the difference between those families being able to get through the end of the month with dignity and with support or not. And on day one, I will repeal that tax bill that benefits the top 1% and the biggest corporations of America.
Senator Harris, thank you. Governor Hickenlooper, let me get you in on this. You've warned that Democrats will lose in 2020 if they embrace socialism, as you put it. You were
The fucking person who's streaming is a fucking gobshite, man. What the fuck? I'm gonna try and find a different stream. This guy's a fucking idiot. Fuck this fucking stream. He fucking ended it. It's fucking... What the fuck? This guy's just ended the stream. My microphone's all the way over there. The guy's just ended the fucking stream because he wants people to subscribe to his channel. What a fucking cockwomble. Okay, let's try and find another one. Where was we? Joe Biden. I'm trying to find a different stream because apparently
people under this program.
Yeah, don't want to listen to that. Miss the fucking live stream. Yo. It's so hard to find American streams for this shit. It's on MSNBC, but I can't get on MSNBC. What's the second Democratic flag? Where is it? Yeah, see, video unavailable. Fucking hell. Okay, let's keep trying to find this shit, shall we? Live updates. I don't want updates with the fucking stream. There's gotta be fucking some cunt on the internet doing it right now. Oh, you can watch it on MSNBC News. It's live on MSNBC. Oh, okay.
Wind farm in the world.
Oh wow, it's actually live on MSNBC.
Facility in the world. We've drawn down the price.
We can't go backwards though.
Renewable energy.
We can't go backwards. We can't go backwards. So we're kind of stuck. It's on MSNBC. What a weird video though. It's like it's fucking scrolling the fucking video down. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, hold on. I want to try and get a better fucking shot of this stuff. Bear with. It just looks so weird. Bernie's going. Bernie's saying some shit there. Hold on, guys. I'm trying. Bear with me. I'm trying. Hold on. Let's see what we're doing.
30 seconds to follow up, and I'm going to hold you to 30.
Look, the old ways are no longer relevant. The scientists tell us we have 12 years before there is irreparable damage to this planet. This is a global issue. What the President of the United States should do is not deny the reality of climate change, but tell the rest of the world that instead of spending $1.5 trillion on weapons of destruction, let us get together for the common enemy, and that is to transform the world's energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. The future of the planet rests on us doing that.
Before we go, hang on.
Before we leave this topic.
Here's the solution. Pass the torch.
Pass the torch to the generation that's going to feel the effects of climate change.
Pass
the torch to the generation that's inventive enough.
Thank you both.
Before we leave this topic, here's something you will all want to weigh in on. Hold on a moment.
Just, the Republican Party.
Hold one moment.
Just trust us on this.
The fact that somebody has a younger body doesn't mean you don't have old ideas.
No, we need new ideas.
John Kennedy did not say, I have a plan to get a man to the moon, and so we're going to do it, and I think we can all work together, and maybe we can get a man on the moon. John Kennedy said, by the end of this decade, we are going to put a man on the moon. Because John Kennedy was back in the day when politics included the people, and included imagination, and included great dreams, and included great plans. And I have had a career not making the political plans, but I have had a career harnessing the inspiration and the motivation and the excitement of people, masses of people, when we know that when we say we are going to turn from a dirty economy to a clean economy, we're going to have a Green New Deal. We're going to create millions of jobs. We're going to do this within the next 12 years because I'm not interested in just winning the next election. We are interested in our grandchildren.
All right, we're going to sneak in a break in a minute, but before we go, I'm going to go down the line here, and I'm asking you, please, for 1 or 2 words only. All right? Please.
Really?
President Obama in his first year wanted to address both health care and climate. And he could only get one signature issue accomplished. It was obviously health care. He didn't get to do climate change. You may only get one shot, and your first issue that you're going to push, you get one shot that it may be the only thing you get passed. What is that first issue for your presidency? Eric Swalwell, you're first.
For Parkland, for Orlando, for every community affected by gun violence, ending gun violence.
Senator Bennett.
Climate change and the lack of economic mobility Bernie talks about.
Senator Gillibrand.
Passing a family bill of rights that includes a national paid leave plan, universal pre-K, affordable daycare, and making sure that women and families can thrive in the workplace no matter who they are.
Oh, I like that.
That was pretty good. Senator Harris.
Then. So passing a middle class and working families tax cut,
That's one.
DACA, guns.
Okay. I'm giving you credit for the first thing you said, the tax cut. I got you. Senator Sanders, first thing.
The premise that there's only 1 or 2 issues out there. This
I'm not saying there's
country
1 or 2.
faces enormous crises.
Senator Sanders.
We need a political revolution. People have got to stand up and take on the special interest. We can transform this country.
Fine. Vice President Biden, your first issue, Mr. Vice President.
I think you're so underestimating what Barack Obama did. He's the first man to bring together the entire world, 196 nations, to commit to deal with climate change immediately. So I don't buy that. But the first thing I would do is make sure that we defeat Donald Trump. Period.
Mayor Buttigieg, your first priority, your first issue as president that you are going to block and tackle.
We've got to fix our democracy before it's too late. Get that right. Climate, immigration, taxes, and every other issue gets better.
Mr. Yang.
I would pass a $1,000 freedom dividend for every American adult starting at age 18, which would speed us up on climate change, because if you get the boot off of people's throats, they'll focus on climate change much more clearly.
Governor Hickenlooper?
I would do a collaborative approach to climate change, and I would pronounce it well before the election to make sure we don't re-elect the worst president in American history.
And Ms. Williamson with the last word.
My first call is to Prime Minister of New Zealand, who said that her goal is to make New Zealand the place where it's the best place in the world for a child to grow up. And I will tell her girlfriend, you are so on, because the United States of America is going to be the best place in the world for a child to grow up.
Ms. Williamson, thank you. You guys were close with the short, at least it was shorter responses.
Not at all.
All right. C minus.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with these candidates right after this.
I thought our elections were bad. This is like 1 billion times worse. What do you mean, do I sleep? I told you I was going to cover the US elections, but I couldn't find the stream, and I didn't think I could watch it, because you can't normally watch MSNBC. Apparently they just let us watch it, apparently. So, a bit fucking weird. So yeah, a bit mad. I can't tell you who's winning or anything because I've literally only just started watching it recently, I guess. I don't know who's winning. Job approval. Well, like he's the CEO. Oh God, Americans do everything so fucking big, don't they? So it's gone to 46 to 43. And he keeps pointing at them, like, what's going on here? Hey, that says 46. That's high. That's 46. Look at it. It says 46. It's high. Whoa, it's big. It's so big. It's 46. Now, what the fuck are people going to think midterms? I've got no idea. But it says 46. And I've got no clue what I'm saying. But fuck's sake, it says 46. 46. 46. Look, it says 46. I've still got no idea. But 46 and then it's 37. See, 37. Look, America, count to 37. See, if you don't believe me, it literally says it 37. It's low, but historically that's about as high as Bush. In fact, it's lower than Bush's ever was, and Bush is a complete hit. But it still says 37. 37. Look, it's gone down to 37. 46. 43. It's lower than his highest approval rating when he first took office. What a shock. Not really. And this is with his base, by the way. It's got nothing to do with like actual Americans. That's his base. More people probably think Trump's doing a better job than actually they can find America on a map, which is quite shocking really when you think about it. Hi to you too. We're just waiting for the second part of said debate. So yeah, we're just waiting. Waiting. Just saying. I think he's qualified 38%. That's 8% more than Americans who can find America on a globe. Think he has the temperament. Wow. 40% for Americans. Favorability. So 43 of who? Exit poll? Huh? I'm confused now. So they're trying to conflagulate it, is the word. Oh, I don't fucking care. It's American politics. It's always fucking madness, isn't it? Come on, give us some more debate shit. I fucking hate adverts and stuff. Oh, my back's killing. I've been sat in this chair too fucking long. Come on. Oh, we're back. We're back.
Debate in Miami. We're going to continue the questioning now with Lester in the audience. We are in a second are going to have a question from Lester in the audience, but that was just a fake out.
Let's go. We're going to go to the issue of guns and
Congressman Swalwell, among this field of candidates, you have a unique position on gun reform. You're proposing that the government should buy back every assault weapon in America, and it should be mandatory. How do you envision that working, especially in states where gun rights are a strong flashpoint?
Keep your pistols, keep your rifles, keep your shotguns, but we can take the most dangerous weapons from the most dangerous people. We have the NRA on the ropes because of the moms, because of the Brady Group, because of Giffords, because of March for Our Lives. But I'm the only candidate on this stage calling for a ban and buyback of every single assault weapon in America. I've seen the plans of the other candidates here. They would all leave 15 million assault weapons in our communities. They wouldn't do a single thing to save a single life in Parkland. I'll approach this issue as a prosecutor. I'll approach it as the only person on this stage who has voted and passed background checks, but also as a parent of a generation who sends our children to school where we look at what they're wearing, so we can remember it in case we have to identify them later. A generation who has seen thousands of black children killed in our streets, and a generation who goes to the theater and we actually look where the fire exits are. We don't have to live this way. We must be a country who loves our children more than we love our guns.
Senator Sanders, a Vermont newspaper recently released portions of an interview you gave in 2013 in which you said, quote, "My own view on guns is everything being equal, states should make those decisions."
No.
Has your thinking changed since then? Do you now think there's a federal role to play?
That's a mischaracterization of my thinking.
It's a
Look,
quote of
we
you.
have a gun crisis right now. 40,000 people a year are getting killed. In 1988, Rachel, when it wasn't popular, I ran on a platform of banning assault weapons and, in fact, lost that race for Congress. I have a D- voting record from the NRA. And I believe that what we need is comprehensive gun legislation that, among other things, provides universal background. We end the gun show loophole. We end the straw man provision. And I believed in 1988, and I believe today.
Why would you
that
leave
assault weapons are weapons from the military, and that they should not be on the streets of America.
You would leave, your plan leaves them on the streets. You leave 15 million on the streets.
We banned the sale and distribution, and that's what I believe for many years.
Will you buy them back?
If people want to buy, if the government wants to do that, and people want
you're going to be the government,
yes.
will you buy them back?
Yes.
Senator Harris, we're going to give you 30 seconds.
Thank you. I think your idea is a great one, Congressman Swalwell, and I will say that there are a lot of great ideas. The problem is Congress has not had the courage to act, which is why when elected President of the United States, I will give the United States Congress 100 days to pull their act together, bring all these good ideas together, and put a bill on my desk for signature. And if they do not, I will take executive action, and I will put in place the most comprehensive background check policy we've had. I will require the ATF to take the licenses of gun dealers who violate the law, and I will ban by executive order the importation of assault weapons. Because I'm going to tell you, as a prosecutor, I have seen more autopsy photographs than I care to tell you. I have hugged more mothers who are the mothers of homicide victims, and I have attended more police officer funerals. It is enough. It is enough. There have been plenty of good ideas from members of the United States Congress. There's been no action. As president, I will take action.
Mayor Buttigieg, I want to bring you in on this, sir. A lot of discussion about assault rifles that are often shorthanded as military-style weapons. You are the only person on this stage tonight with military experience as a veteran of the Afghanistan war. Will military families, does that inform your thinking on this view? Do you believe that military families or America's veterans will, at large, have a different take on this than the other Americans who we've been talking about and who Congressman Swalwell is appealing to with his buyback program?
Yeah, of course, because we trained on some of these kinds of weapons. Look, every part of my life experience informs this. Being the mayor of a city where the worst part of the job is dealing with violence, we lose as many as were lost at Parkland every 2 or 3 years in my city alone. And this is tearing communities apart. If more guns made us safer, we'd be the safest country on earth. It doesn't work that way. And common sense measures like universal background checks can't seem to get delivered by Washington, even when most Republicans, let alone most Americans, agree it's the right thing to do. And as somebody who trained on weapons of war, I can tell you that there are weapons that have absolutely no place in American cities or neighborhoods in peacetime, ever.
Vice President Biden, 30 seconds.
A real 30 seconds?
A real 30 seconds.
Okay. I'm the only person that's beaten the NRA nationally. I'm the guy that got the Brady bill passed, the background checks, number one. Number two, we increased that background check during the Obama-Biden administration. I'm also the only guy that got assault weapons banned, and the number of clips in a gun banned. And so, folks, look, and I would buy back those weapons. We already started talking about that. We tried to get it done. I think it can be done, and it should be demanded that we do it, and that's a good expenditure of money. And lastly, we should have smart guns. No gun should be able to be sold unless your biometric measure could pull that trigger. It's within our right to do that. We can do that. Our enemy is the gun manufacturers, not the NRA. the gun manufacturer.
Vice President,
but the NRA is taking orders from the gun manufacturer.
Lester Holt has our next question. Lester, take it away.
All right, Chuck, this is a question from our viewers. We put some suggestions that asked maybe they could share some. Here's one that came from Kathleen from Canby, Oregon, who writes, many fear the current administration has inflicted irrevocable harm on our governing institutions and norms, and in the process, on our reputation abroad. The question is, what do you see as important early steps in reversing the damage done? And we'll put this one to Senator Bennett.
Thank you very much. What an excellent question. First of all, we have to restore our democracy at home. The rest of the world is looking for us for leadership. We have a president who doesn't believe in the rule of law. He doesn't believe in freedom of the press. He doesn't believe in independent judiciary. He believes in the corruption that he's brought to Washington, D.C., and that is what we have to change, and that's why everybody is up here tonight, and I appreciate the fact that they're up here for that reason. Second, we've got to restore the relationships that he's destroyed with our allies, not just in Europe. He flew to the G20 last night and attacked Japan, Germany, and a third ally of ours without saying anything about North Korea or Russia. And when you've got a situation where you have a president who says something happened in the Straits of Hormuz and the whole world doesn't know whether to believe it or not, that is a huge problem when it comes to the national security of the United States of America.
This is a perfect time.
Need to change that.
Thank you, Senator Bennett. It's a perfect time for me to do another one of these down the line. And this is what this question is, which is you're likely going to have to reset a relationship between America and another country or entity if you become president perhaps because of some relationship that you just mentioned about President Trump. What is the first relationship you like to reset as president? I'm going to go down the line, and I'll start with Ms. Williamson.
Well, one of my first phone calls would be to call the European leaders and say, we're back. Because I totally understand how important it is that the United States be part of the Western Alliance.
I'm trying to get one or two words here. I hear you. Governor Hickenlooper.
You know, I talk about constant engagement, and I think the first country I would go to, but I understand they've been cheating and stealing intellectual property, would be China, because if we're going to deal with public health pandemics, if we're going to deal with all the challenges of the globe, we've got to have relationships with everyone.
Mr. Yang, we're trying to squeeze in a couple more things before we go to another break. Mr. Yang.
China, we need to cooperate with them on climate change, AI, and other issues. North Korea.
Thanks for the quickness. Mayor Buttigieg.
We have no idea which of our most important allies he will have pissed off worse between now and then. What we know is that our relationship with the entire world needs to change. And it starts by modeling American values at home.
Okay, Mr. Vice President, I'm trying to be quick.
We know NATO will fall apart if he's elected 4 more years as the single most consequential alliance in the history of the United States.
Senator Sanders.
It's not one country. I think it is rebuilding trust in the United Nations and understand that we can solve conflicts without war, but with diplomacy.
Senator Harris.
All the members of the NATO alliance.
Senator Gillibrand.
President Trump is hell-bent on starting a war with Iran. My first act will be to engage Iran to stabilize the Middle East and make sure we do not start an unwanted, never-ending war.
Senator Bennett, quickly.
Our European allies in every Latin American country that's willing to have a conversation about how to deal with the refugee crisis.
And Congressman Swalwell.
My first act in foreign policy, we're breaking up with Russia and making up with NATO.
Thank you all. Thank you all. We have one
That's a good plan.
last question for Vice President Biden tonight. You have made your decades of experience in foreign policy a pillar of your campaign. But when the time came to say yes or no on one of the most consequential foreign policy decisions of the last century, you voted for the Iraq war. You have since said you regret that vote. But why should voters trust your judgment when it comes to making a decision about taking the country to war the next time?
Because once Bush abused that power, what happened was we got elected after that. I made sure the president turned to me and said, Joe, get our combat troops out of Iraq. I was responsible for getting 150,000 combat troops out of Iraq, and my son was one of them. I also think we should not have combat troops in Afghanistan. It's long overdue. It should end. And thirdly, I believe that you're not going to find anybody who has pulled together more of alliances to deal with what is the real stateless threat out there. We cannot go it alone in terms of dealing with terrorism. So I'd eliminate the act that allowed us to go into war and not the AUMF, and make sure that it could only be used for what its intent was, and that is to go after terrorists, but never do it alone. That's why we have to repair our alliances. We put together 65 countries to make sure we dealt with ISIS in Iraq and other places. That's what I would do. That's what I have done, and I know how to do it.
Senator Sanders, 30 seconds.
One of the differences that Joe and I have in our record is Joe voted for that war. I helped lead the opposition to that war, which is a total disaster. Second of all, I helped lead the effort for the first time to utilize the War Powers Act to get the United States out of the Saudi-led intervention in Yemen, which is the most horrific humanitarian disaster on earth. And thirdly, let me be very clear, I will do everything I can to prevent a war with Iran, which would be far worse than disastrous war with
Senator
Iraq.
Sanders, thank you.
All right, guys.
Informed consent of the American people.
Good news is you get more time to talk, but I have to sneak in one more break. We will be right back with more debate.
I hope you guys can hear this. It's loud as fuck for me. I hope you guys can hear it okay. Sounds okay. Yeah. On that last point about Iraq though, Bernie Sanders made a good point. A few of them did. But to somehow suggest that like America didn't create ISIS is bullshit. Come on. You fucking invaded the country, had nothing to do with 9/11 whatsoever. Lied to everybody in the West and said they had weapons of mass destruction, and then blew up poor Iraqis for no fucking reason other than, I don't know, fucking oil maybe. I mean, shit. If you voted to go to war in Iraq, you're a fucking neocon. I'm sorry, you just are. Anybody with half a brain, whether you don't like Muslims or you do, anybody with half a brain knew that was bullshit from the get-go. For real. Iraq's got weapons of... Okay, sure they have. Yeah. Complete bollocks. I mean, they were under sanctions for fucking 20 years. They couldn't piss in a fucking pot. And suddenly they got these weapons of mass destruction. And where did the weapons of mass destruction come from? Oh yeah, I forgot. America. They were the same people who sold them stupid fucking chemical weapons, right? They sold them to fucking Iraq when they were fighting the fucking the Iranians. I mean, come on. It's a lot of shit. Honestly, all this shit's waffle. It's waffle. But I still have to stream it apparently. It is bollocks though. Anyway. Super Tuesdays on March 20. What's that, March? What? Super Tuesday? Fucking hell. So that's next year in March. So this time next year, we're going to find out who's the president nearly. When all these fuckers elect the next president of the United States. And their shitty first past the post system that we gave them. Please God, I hope it's not like I want it to be. My hope is Bernie Sanders wins. That's my hope. I'm a big Bernie fan. I think the rest are just fakes, especially like Kamala Harris and stuff. I do like Pete because he swore, but that's about it. Pete swore. Oh fuck, we're back. I better shut up. We're back again.
From Miami, now each candidate will have a final chance to make their case to the voters. 45 seconds each. We begin with Congressman Swalwell.
We can't be a forward-looking party if we look to the past for our leadership. I'm a congressman, but also a father of a 2-year-old and an infant. When I'm not changing diapers, I'm changing Washington. Most of the time, the diapers smell better. I went to Congress at 31, and I found a Washington that doesn't work for people like you and me. It's made of the rich and the disconnected. I was the first in my family to go to college and have student loan debt. And so I have led the effort to elect the next generation of members of Congress. And we have a moment to seize. This is a can-do generation. This is the generation that will end climate chaos. This is the generation that will solve student loan debt. And this is the generation that will say enough is enough and end gun violence. This generation demands bold solutions. That's why I'm running for president.
Congressman, thank you.
Ms. Williamson, 45 seconds for your closing
I'm
statement.
sorry we haven't talked more tonight about how we're going to beat Donald Trump. I have an idea about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not going to be beaten just by insider politics talk. He's not going to be beaten just by somebody who has plans. He's going to be beaten by somebody who has an idea what this man has done. This man has reached into the psyche of the American people, and he has harnessed fear for political purposes. So, Mr. President, if you're listening, I want you to hear me, please. You have harnessed fear for political purposes, and only love can cast that out. So sir, I have a feeling you know what you're doing. I'm going to harness love for political purposes. I will meet you on that field, and, sir, love will win.
Ms. Williamson, thank you.
Senator Bennett.
Thank you. Thank you. My mom and her parents came to the United States to rebuild their shattered lives in the only country that they could. 300 years before that, my parents' family came searching religious freedom here. The ability for one generation to do better than the next is now severely at risk in the United States, especially among children living in poverty like the ones I used to work for in the Denver public schools. That's why I'm running for president. I've had 2 tough races in Colorado by bringing people together, not by making empty promises. And I believe we need to build a broad coalition of Americans to beat Donald Trump, end the corruption in Washington, and build a new era of American democracy and American opportunity. This is going to be hard to do, but it's what our parents would have expected. It's what our kids deserve. I hope you'll join me in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
Governor Hickenlooper.
I'm a small business owner who brought that same scrappy spirit to make Colorado one of the most progressive states in America. We expanded reproductive health to reduce teenage abortion by 64%. We were the first state to legalize marijuana, and we transformed our justice system in the process. We passed universal background checks in a purple state. We got to near universal health care coverage. We attacked climate change with the toughest methane regulations in the country, and for the last 3 years, we've been the #1 economy in America. You don't need big government to do big things. I know that because I'm the one person up here who's actually done the big progressive things everyone else is talking about. If we turn towards socialism, we run the risk of helping to re-elect the worst president in American history.
Thank you, Governor.
Senator Gillibrand, you have the floor for 45 seconds.
Women in America are on fire. We've marched, we've organized, we've run for office, and we've won. But our rights are under attack like never before by President Trump and the Republicans who want to repeal Roe v. Wade, which is why I went to the front lines in Georgia to fight for them. As president, I will take on the fights that no one else will. I stood up to the Pentagon and repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I've stood up to the banks and voted against the bailout twice. I've stood up to Trump more than any other senator in the U.S. Senate, and I have the most comprehensive approach for getting money out of politics with publicly funded elections to deal with political corruption. Now is not the time to play it safe. Now is not the time to be afraid of firsts. We need a president who will take on the big challenges, even if she stands alone. Join me in fighting for this.
Senator Gillibrand, thank you.
Mr. Yang, you have 45 seconds for your closing.
First, I want to thank everyone who put me on this stage tonight. I am proof that our democracy still works. Democrats and Americans around the country have one question for their nominee, and that is who can beat Donald Trump in 2020? That is the right question. And the right candidate to beat Donald Trump will be solving the problems that got Donald Trump elected and will have a vision of a trickle-up economy that is already drawing thousands of disaffected Trump voters, conservatives, independents, and libertarians, as well as Democrats and progressives. I am that candidate. I can build a much broader coalition to beat Donald Trump. It is not left. It is not right. It is forward. And that is where I'll take the country in 2020.
Mr. Yang, thank you.
Senator Harris, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I just want to leave you with a couple of things. One, we need a nominee who has the ability to prosecute the case against 4 more years of Donald Trump, and I will do that. Second, this election is about you. This is about your hopes and your dreams and your fears and what wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's why I have what I call a 3 a.m. agenda. That is about everything from what we need to do to deliver health care to how you will be able to pay the bills by the end of the month. And when I think about what our country needs, I promise you, I will be a president who leads with a sense of dignity, with honesty, speaking the truth, and giving the American family all that they need to get through the end of the month in a way that allows them to prosper. So I hope to earn your support. Please join us at KamalaHarris.org.
Senator, thank you.
Mayor Buttigieg, 45 seconds.
Nothing about politics is theoretical for me. I've had the experience of writing a letter to my family, putting it in an envelope marked just in case, and leaving it where they would know where to find it in case I didn't come back from Afghanistan. I have the experience of being in a marriage that exists by the grace of a single vote on the U.S. Supreme Court. I have the experience of guiding a community where the per capita income was below $20,000 when I took office into a brighter future. I'm running because the decisions we make in the next 3 or 4 years are going to decide how the next 30 or 40 go. And when I get to the current age of the current president in the year 2055, I want to be able to look back on these years and say my generation delivered climate solutions, racial equality, and an end to endless war. Help me deliver that new generation to Washington before it's too late.
Thank you.
Senator Sanders, 45 seconds, the floor is yours.
I suspect people all over the country who are watching this debate are saying, these are good people, they have great ideas. But how come nothing really changes? How come for the last 45 years wages have been stagnant for the middle class? How come we have the highest rate of childhood poverty? How come 45 million people still have student debt? How come 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of America? And here is the answer. Nothing will change unless we have the guts to take on Wall Street, the insurance industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the military-industrial complex, and the fossil fuel industry. If we don't have the guts to take them on, we'll continue to have plans, we'll continue to have talk, and the rich will get richer, and everybody else will be struggling.
Thank you, Senator.
And lastly, we'll hear from Vice President Biden. Sir, you have 45 seconds.
Thank you very much. I'm ready to lead this country because I think it's important we restore the soul of this nation. This president has ripped it out. It's the only president in our history who has equated racist and white supremacist with ordinary and decent people. He's the only president who has engaged and embraced dictators and thumbed their nose at our allies. I'm secondly running for president because I think we have to restore the backbone of America, the poor and hardworking middle-class people. You can't do that without replacing them with the dignity they once had. Lastly, we got to unite the United States of America as much as anybody says we can. If we do, there's not a single thing the American people can't do. This is the United States of America. We can do anything if we're together. So God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Vice President Biden, thank you.
We want to thank our candidates. We've had 2 nights of spirited debate on a range of issues, 20 candidates in all. We want to thank all of the candidates last night.
Seriously, it takes guts to run and stick your neck out like this to you guys and to the 10 last night. Thanks for having the guts to do this.
I would also like to thank the audience for completely ignoring our suggestion not to react. We made it a lot more fun.
Also, thanks to the Democratic National Committee and the Florida Democratic Party.
And, of course, thank you to everyone at the Adrienne R. Center for hosting us here and our terrific audiences. Chuck mentioned.
Over terrific.
For Savannah, Jose, Chuck, and Rachel, I'm Lester Holt. Good night, everyone, from Miami.
Bernie Sanders, I don't care. Bernie Sanders is the only one that makes any sense to me. He's the only one that actually says it how it is. Nothing's gonna change if you don't, you know, change the system. And it is, well, it's not the same in Britain, but it's definitely true in the United States. The pharmaceutical companies, I would definitely say, because they just rip off Americans left, right, and center. The military-industrial complex was run by fucking Eisenhower, for fuck's sake, and that was in the 40s or some shit. Well, I said pharma. Military-industrial complex. And I would say the insurance companies, but they're kind of in league with them. So, I would say the 2 things that America would need to solve, apart from the education system, to be fair, Americans do get well educated. It's just they have to pay a fucking shitload for it. It's kind of like what they try to do over in the UK with the whole student loan bollocks, which is fucking stupid. I mean, if you live in a capitalist society, the one thing you shouldn't do is charge your fucking students debt or charge them to go to school. You want them fuckers to be churned out like little automatons, right? So you make it free basically, so everybody can get educated and get jobs wherever they fucking want. Okay, they might skip a year, go get fucking educated, and then oh look, I've got a new degree, happy days, and then you can apply for a fucking job that you couldn't apply for before because now you got a qualification. So I would make education free. Just saying. I think that's a fucking no-brainer, to be fair. In terms of healthcare, they get ripped off way more than we do. We don't even have half the problems they do in the United States. In fact, most Western countries don't have half the problems they do, because they're the literally only Western country on the planet that doesn't have a healthcare system. Fuck me, even Cuba's got a fucking healthcare system, and Venezuela, which is better than America's, which is bizarre. But yeah, socialism. There was no drug talk, which is weird considering, like, well, I didn't hear, so I can't really say that, but I watched yesterday's one slightly. I didn't watch all of it, but it was talking about the opioid epidemic and stuff. But you know, I would have just said I'd legalize ganja as a federal thing. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure Tulsi Gabbard or Elizabeth Warren said that they would just federalize decriminalizing weed. I'm not too sure which one it was, but it was one of them anyway. It was from, there's like 20 of these fuckers. It's hard to keep up. I'm biased though. I like Bernie Sanders, so I would like Bernie Sanders to win. And it's funny because all these people who were on the stage, apart from Bernie Sanders, were against Bernie Sanders in 2016. Remember that when you watch this video. They were all against Bernie Sanders' propositions in 2016 when he was facing Hillary Clinton. You get what I'm saying? I'm just pointing that out. They've all stole his ideas. Oh, free healthcare, single payer. They all called him crazy when he said that in the last election, and now they're all fucking jumping on his bandwagon. Full of shit, man. Especially Kamala Harris. She's just like black Hillary fucking Clinton. And the guy on the end there in talking about Russia. Fuck off, you fucking idiot. I bet you can't even find Russia on a map, you dilatory twat. I like Yang. Pete swore. I give him some kudos for just saying pissed off, which is quite funny. I like any politician who swears, and they know they're not supposed to. It's just whatever. I just like that kind of thing. Yang's for universal basic income, so kind of like him. My ticket would be Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard. That would be my ticket. Maybe Elizabeth Warren in there somewhere as some kind of person running the banks or some what would that be? Secretary of Treasury or something. She'd do a good job there, I think. I could see Warren, Tulsi Gabbard. She'd be Secretary of Defense. Would I make a VP? I don't know. You could make a VP, but that's a bit of a stupid position. She'd be a good Secretary of Defense, maybe, because she's a serving military person. Bernie would be president, clearly, but I think if Bernie wins this election, he's only going to stay there for one term, because he'd be like a zillion years old come the next election. So I think he would need someone to take over him. I think that would be Tulsi Gabbard. I think she knows her shit in regards to at least foreign relations. It would be a good idea to have her. She's on board with single payer. That's a good thing. You could give Yang a job as Commerce Secretary or something useful. He knows about business kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, there's a good crop in there. I don't trust any of the others though, because most of them are neoliberals. Like Joe Biden, he's a neoliberal. That guy seems like a bad tit. Someone said he looks like he's from a dentist. He's a knob. The other girl on the end, she definitely strokes crystals. She sounds like she's on crack. Wouldn't put her anywhere near anything. Love's gonna beat you up. What? Shut up. I bet she's from like Arizona or somewhere. She'll be fucking, there's some alien ritual in the morning. But there was another one yesterday. I didn't really show all of it, but I did watch it. I didn't even stream it actually. I just caught the last end of it. But that was with Tulsi Gabbard and a few others. But that was interesting. So I don't know what's going to happen next now, what the next debate's going to be. I think now it gets whittled down. But Bernie's at the top anyway, so Bernie ain't going anywhere. Bernie's raised the most money out of everybody, and rightly so. I want Bernie Sanders to win. He's the only legit guy on the stage. All the rest are just pretending to be like Bernie Sanders, which is a bit fucking weird. But if you believe the hype, you think like Kamala Harris was like fucking in the leaders and shit. Joe Biden is just complete bollocks. Creepy Biden, as someone said in the side chat. Anyway, it's a bit late, and I'm going to bed. And all that stuff. I will be back tomorrow though. Politics Live, News Night, and they might be a hustings tomorrow. I'm not too sure if there is, but if I can catch you, I'll stream it. And if not, I'll stream it afterwards, after it's happened as usual. So I wish you all a good night, because it's like 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. I literally got banned from Steam. Well, not Steam. I got banned from CS because I was about to play CS. I had to choose between streaming this and getting banned on CS for an entire day. I chose you cunts. So hit the like button. Just saying. Do I have a bird? No, but they're probably tweeting outside my window as we speak because it's 4 AM. And or you can hear my microphone. It's a bit squeaky. Anyway, bid you all farewell, and I will see you tomorrow. It's not a cage, it's my microphone thing. It's on like some weird, it needs a bit of butter on it. Anyway, I'll catch you all tomorrow. Have a good night, and don't let the Democratic debate bite. Yeah. Bye.